We are finally gonna sharpen these knives. Wait, they're not labeled. And this is in Japanese. That's great. This knife has a bolster, and what a bolster is this thing, this little thing down here. Look at them side by side. This is the bolster, no bolster. So whenever I sharpen this one, I can just sharpen the entire blade versus this one where I have to sharpen up to the bolster. Hold up, don't tell me I forgot already. Okay, so we're taking off material. It's gonna be a while before we actually start to feel the metal coming up. Like let's say if I'm grinding it on this side back here, the metal on the tip starts to like rise up and curl up, and then you can feel it with your hand. That's why I keep on doing this, trying to see like if I can feel a burr forming. So, and that's what it's called, whenever the metal starts to curl up. But the method is kind of like, it's push, pull back, lift a little bit. It's like if you look at the back of the knife here, it kind of gets thinner up top. So you're trying to keep a consistent angle from probably like here to here, just because that's the same length. But over here, since it's thinner on the back of the knife, you kind of want to lift up so you can like keep that in that same angle throughout like the push. So it makes more sense if you look at it this way. So right here, same. Lift it up. You can kind of see it. There's like a little of a gap in between. I don't even know how to necessarily explain it any better. So we are developing a serious burr now, but we got a lot of metal to go until we can actually start to form a tip. All right. This burr is coming along pretty good on the top side. Let's get towards the middle. Okay, consistent. That's good. All right, bet. So we need to give this bottom piece a lot more love because we're not really forming a burr there. Okay, we're starting to form a burr on this bottom side now. Give me some of that chocolate milk. I can feel the protein going through my body. Just what I need. Have you ever had like a paper clip and how you bend it to one side, then you bend it to another side, then you bend it to another side, then you bend it to another side, then it breaks off? So that's what you're gonna do with the burr. So you're gonna bend the metal, so this is the knife, right? This is the knife edge. You're gonna bend the metal to this side, bend it to that side. It's gonna get weaker, break off, and then you're gonna have a nice sharp edge. So that's what I'm doing right now with this. Like if you look at the burr right here, if you look past it, you see that there's a tip starting to develop at the top. So we're gonna keep on fucking grinding away until we break this burr off and expose that tip. I think I'm gonna grind some of the bolster off. You can see it better with the light, right? The knife doesn't sit flush, so I need to grind down the bolster so that window of light isn't there anymore. You see the burrs coming off, and we got a tip. Nice. Okay. All right, bet. We're finally starting to make some real headway on the bolster issue. It's like really flat right here, right? So we can round it out on the edges. There we go. So I'm just kind of like pulling up and rounding the knife out. And right here, I do not really care too much about the actual cutting edge because we're gonna completely redo that. So right now we're just gonna focus on getting this bolster kind of like rounded out. And it looks like we're almost there. Damn, this is coming along pretty damn good, bro. I'm surprised at myself. You would have thought I've been sharpening knives all my life. There's not too big of a gap in there anymore. So let's go ahead and start sharpening this knife for real. I really went OD with dulling out this knife. So we're gonna be here all day. As far as the burr, it's really pronounced on the top. As we come down though, it definitely does fade a little bit. So I'm gonna try to focus more so on the bottom half of the blade and develop that burr a little bit more, and we'll flip it over. So back to it. All right, so it's not all the way off. It's coming off though. So this is as good as this is going to get. The tip is nice. The bolster is well rounded. I mean, I have to say, man, I couldn't have done this better myself. Let's actually try that paper test, man. Here we go. Trying to see how sharp is it from bolster to edge. The bolster is not that sharp. Down here, like towards the end, not that sharp, but the top is. We have some work to do as far as like overall technique, but for my first time, man, I won't lie, this is pretty nice. So this one finished. This is like, I think I want to say a 14-inch chef knife. As you can see, there is some chips in the knife, and this one also has a fairly weak tip. It's also bolstered, so that's going to be interesting. This bolster is better though, because it kind of matches with the angle of the knife. I am moving the knife around a lot to kind of like utilize the entire stone, but I'm gonna flip it over just so this side can get a lot of love as well, so it'll wear fairly evenly. I'm going to see if I can just sharpen it like a knife without a bolster and see if that'll work. If not, you know what I'm saying, we'll go back to doing what we were doing originally and stopping at the bolster. But I feel like with this angle being so similar to the actual cutting angle, I think that it'll work out fairly well. Just want to slide the knife along the stone, and the stone's gonna take off the material, not the pressure. Let's see, we forming a bird down here? Kind of, so it's working. We're almost done with this first side because the tip is starting to form. I'm just gonna go at it just a little bit more, and then we'll swap over to the other side. All right, so take a look, wait. So you can see that that burr is pretty pronounced, but you can also see that the tip is starting to form. So we're gonna flip it over so we can break off the burr. I'd be lying if I said my shoulder wasn't on fire right now. We're definitely getting a workout in today. The edge is much more pronounced now. Dope. And also the cracks are out too. Yeah, this burr is tiny now. I can barely feel it, but I do feel a little bit still there. So we're gonna keep on going until we get this completely broken off. No nicks, no cracks. Long ass knife. Bolster looks pretty. I mean, it's kind of beat up, but you know, look at that tip. This is the first knife that I did. Look, that little technique that I had was okay. You can kind of tell that there's a little bit more metal on this side than this side, but it's not too noticeable. Yeah, this one's not as sharp as the first one. Like, look at that. Yeah. First time, I'm feeling on top of the world. So this knife does have a small chip, but it's not deep enough to where I feel like I have to use this 120 stone. We'll probably hit this one with the 400 and then go up to the 1200. Same thing with this one, this Nakiri. And I know you're not supposed to use water on diamond stones because they could rust, but I truly do not care. This is what I mean by different grits. So if you look at this stone, this is the 120, this is the one I was just using. And low-key is kind of starting to rust, shit. Anyways, you can see that the particles are a lot bigger. Those are little diamonds. And then this one, the particles are a lot smaller. So this is not as coarse as this. Like, think of it like sandpaper, right? So this is 120 grit, this is 400. This is the finest one that I have. 1200, 400, 120. This time around, this shouldn't take too long because we already have the knife in a good profile. We have a tip, so we're not really like restoring the knife. We're just getting it all nice and sharp. So it is getting a little bit too late, and I think that I'm gonna go ahead and call it. Paper test. Wait. Let's do this. I'm really proud of this. Like, from where it was to where it is now, it was worth it. Definitely worth it. All right, so I'm back. It is a beautiful day outside. It's so beautiful that I'd rather be outside right now, but we have to finish this up. We have 3 more knives to sharpen on this 400 grit diamond stone. Overall, whenever I was taking a look at these knives today, I did a damn good job, bro. For my first time ever sharpening a knife, especially taking a knife from where these knives were to this point, is actually insane. Like, look at that freaking tip, bro. I understand a lot of people are gonna watch this video and be like, oh man, I low-key don't wanna do that. Seems like a lot of work. It's so worth it, bro. It is so worth it. First of all, it's therapeutic. Second of all, it's kind of cool. And third of all, like, you get your knives razor fucking sharp. I was saying that these 2 knives, the 2 knives that I sharpened, weren't that sharp because they didn't cut paper as smoothly as I wanted it to. But then I tried to use my regular knife to cut paper, and I'm like, wow, these 2 knives, even though we only took it up to, this one only went up to 120, this one went up to 400, even though we only did that, these knives are way sharper than this one. Like, look at this. Let's actually do the test right now. Here is my regular everyday knife. Now, this one we took up to 400. So this is the cut that I had with the knife that I sharpened. This is the cut that I had with the knife that I haven't sharpened yet. So you can tell just by how clean the cut is, just how much sharper this one is. So actually I am making a lot of progress. Anyways, let's stop talking and let's get to sharpening. I forget how to do this already? Bet, starting to get a burr. Let's go. So the burr is fairly consistent along the entire knife. So we're gonna go ahead and flip it over and get the other side. But one thing that I'm noticing is as you go up in grit, the smaller the burr gets. So the higher the grit, the smaller the burr. So it's gonna be a lot less noticeable than it was originally, but you can kind of feel it whenever you compare it to the opposite side. So this side just feels smooth. Let's see if you can hear it. Hear that, right? And then you can kind of hear my finger catching on the burr, if that makes any sense. So here is what it looks like. No burr, smooth burr. Look at that tip though, beautiful. It's pretty much done. We're good. I can't really feel the burr on either side, so we're sitting pretty. And if there is like a microscopic tiny burr, I'll be able to take that off once we take it up one more stone. Now, it is time for me to actually start on my own knives. This knife is a lot easier to sharpen now with no bolster. So like I can just take the entire blade all the way through. No interruptions, just straight sharpening. Doesn't feel like this is gonna take too long. Yeah, we're already developing a burr. So I'm really happy that I actually took the time to learn how to sharpen my knives this way. Cause I don't know, man, something about getting older makes me appreciate knowing how to do things a lot more. Like I think that's cooler than being able to spend the money to achieve certain things. Like don't get it twisted, if you can save yourself a lot of time and headache, I mean, why not spend the money in certain instances? But if there's a skill to learn, I'd rather pay to learn the skill than pay to get the service done for me. Especially with things like this. Obviously, if this is like a business or anything where speed is an advantage, of course, just spend the money. But in situations like this, like life skills, I'd rather have it, bro. I'd rather have it. I like doing cool shit and being able to do cool shit. So I guess that's why I value having skills. But this knife is pretty done. It's pretty much done. So we're good. Let's clean it off and then go to my Nakiri. Bow, 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 bow. Look at that tip though. Beautiful. Check the other side. Valid. Valid. Come on now. I'm not one to be played with, bro. It's sharpening pretty easy. I've almost got the burr completely taken off. I can already see like the little wire pieces breaking off on the stone. Oh shit. Don't fuck it up now. And since this one doesn't have like a super pronounced tip, it's really simple to sharpen, this Nakiri. This one's done. On to the 1200. Yeah, this one's super smooth. And really, in the world of whetstones, 1200 grit, especially 1200 grit, diamond stone isn't even that fine. This is just the finest diamond stone that I've been able to find. Y'all hear how smooth that sounds? So this isn't really gonna be even cutting a lot. It's just really just gonna be taking off a little bit of metal and just getting that edge super, super thin. If you do maintain your knives fairly well, you won't have to go through this entire process all the time. You can probably just stay with this one stone and use the 400 grit stone to like repair any chips or anything. But if it's like gets crazy, then you can take it up to the 120 or whatever. But for the most part, like for everyday use, you keep relatively decent care of your knives, you can probably get away with just using this 1200 grit stone 99% of the time. This stone is actually cutting fairly quickly. I already feel the burr developing on this one. It's really small because we're going up in grit, but I can feel the burr, so that's good. All right, I think that is it as far as the burr. Getting good at this. Look at that edge though. So beautiful. Let's clean this off real quick. Now all I have are my own knives to sharpen, and I'm just gonna power through those. All right, so this is finished. Okay, okay, nice, nice, nice. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna strop these and we'll be done. All stropping is basically just rubbing the knives against a piece of leather and this grainy compound. I'll show you guys whenever I grab it, but that's just gonna further grind down the knife to a super fine edge and just polish up the edge as well. But that's basically the last step. Here is our strop. Like I said, this is a piece of leather. You basically just, same thing, right? But instead of just doing it on the leather, you add the compound so that you can get a better polish. And I'm gonna link everything that I'm using down in the description. So if you wanna just basically go through the exact same process I am, you can use everything that I've used so far. Okay, so this compound is actually kind of hard to get on here. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's kind of like, this is kind of like a crayon. It's like a waxy consistency. Jesus. Okay, bet. That's good. This shit stinks. God damn, boy, that shit smells terrible. Jeez Louise. Compound, more like compost. It smells like shit. Same situation on the strop. I'm gonna keep it at the same angle that you were sharpening and just go boom, 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 boom. That was 4, right? So then we go here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Uh-oh. Don't want to cut into it. And I've seen people do it like, basically, just strop like this. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to do it. I don't think it is, but I guess it'd kind of be like honing the knife. This actually looks pretty good. The edge looks a lot more defined. So we're not gonna super strop these. We're just gonna pass them through a few times and call it a day. Now for the paper test. Let's see. Hold up. I didn't feel. That's easy. That's easy. Sharp. Okay, there you go. Because you don't want the paper to fold while you're trying to cut it. Because that just messes everything up. Clean cuts. Come on. Bam. Anyways. Okay. All right. This one may not be as sharp as the other ones. Okay, there we go. Now, last but certainly not least, my personal knife. Hold on. Okay. Okay. All right, so these two, either it was user error or they're not as sharp as the other two. But either way, bro, I'm happy with it. I'm way happier than I was whenever I first started. I know that I didn't take these knives up to like a crazy degree to the point to where they're like razor sharp, but they're good enough for me, man. I just want a knife that's sharp enough for me to cut through whatever the hell I'm cutting. That's pretty much it, guys. We're definitely not gonna store these two knives in this anymore. I'm gonna pick up something else to store these knives with. But besides that, guys, I'm out. Peace.